What's going on, guys? Welcome to Airsoft Armada. It's another tech video. Today we're going to be taking apart, do a quick fail strip and get into the lower body of the KWA ATP adaptive training pistol. And as you see right before you, we have an ATP. And the first thing you want to do is obviously take out the magazine, set that aside. Now, if the trigger's been pulled, you're not going to be able to remove the slide. What you want to do is pull the slide back to reset the trigger. Once the trigger's being reset, then you can hit the takedown lever and slide it right off. It's very similar to a Glock. You can see the internal. Now we're going to go through a quick field strip of the slide. You want to take out the spring guide and the spring. Then move the outer barrel and hop-up assembly. Slides right out. Now all that's left in the slide now is the breech block. It's going to be removed with a number 2 Phillips. Make sure you try to use a number 2 Phillips, because anything smaller or bigger, you have a chance of stripping the screw out. And then the block and the nozzle all come out. And just be careful for the 2 springs on top. It's pretty straightforward, and it's fairly simple. It drops right out very easily. It's awesome. We'll get into the outer barrel here. Outer barrel / locking block, and inner barrel and hop up. This threading, this orange threading, is it's plastic. So you want to be careful. It's just going to be pretty easy to strip that. To remove the inner barrel and hop up, all you do is just pull back on it. It's not bolted in or anything, it's not pinned. It's basically held in place by this O-ring here, which is kind of handy because it's really easy to disassemble. That's about it for the outer barrel. Now to further break this down and to remove the hop-up from the inner barrel, all you have to do is pop out this pin. I'd go from the right to the left, because the left side has some knurling to keep it in. So just push it through. Comes out reasonably easy. Set that aside. Now for the loading ramp. The loading ramp you want to grab from the back and pull down into the front. There's a spring inside here, so be careful. So do it easily. See this tiny spring that they have in front? It just holds it under tension to help keep it in there. Then you have the hood, and when you remove this, the hop-up bearing is down there, the ball bearing. So you want to be careful when pulling this off. It might go shooting out, so be very careful. Try to take it off slowly. Keep your thumb over it. You see it right there. And there's an indentation in the bucking. Just carefully remove this. Then you have the sleeve, and that's it. And reassembly is just the opposite. Install the bearing and slide the hood back on. I usually install the spring inside the ramp here. This way you can grab it, just get it hooked on, slide it back up, install the pin, and that's basically it. Reinstall it in the outer barrel. Reinstall it on the slide. And that's it. That's it for the slide. Now for the lower body, it's a little bit more in depth. We're just going to take out the internals here. I'm not going to go into stripping out individual pieces. I'm just going to remove them all to show you. So what we're going to do, So we're going to take the trigger pin and the rear, the hammer block out, hammer block pin. I tap these out. This is just a thin rod from an RC car, suspension shaft, and just a heavy pair of pliers. So just tap it out. Side. The trigger one's obviously bigger than the rear hammer block, so you won't confuse them. Okay, so now to get the takedown lever out, you can see this copper colored spring in here. You're gonna have to push down that spring, and then you can either slide the takedown lever out through either side, or you can just kind of hold it down and tilt the gun to one side, tilt the body to one side, and it usually slides out. So we'll try that first, see how it goes. Sometimes a little tricky, but there it goes. And that's how you pop the takedown lever out. Alright, so now that we've got everything taken out, all the fasteners, all the internals can be lifted out in one piece. You're going to have to watch out for 3 springs. The impact block reset spring, which keeps this one, which is installed right behind here, and there's nothing keeping that in. Once this gets pulled out, I'll show you here easily. There's a spring right inside there, and there's nothing hold that back except for the side of the body. So be careful when you pull that out. It will go flying across the room. Number 2 is a slide stop spring. It's kind of in a C formation in there. If you keep this under tension while taking it out, it usually won't drop out. And then the third one it's the trigger reset spring. This one right here that you can easily see. It's just hooked into this the trigger bar, and it's hooked onto the inside of the to the inner main frame, or the inside frame. And again, the body's only keeping that in. So you want to be careful for those when you pull this out. I usually start by pulling the back out and keeping my thumb over this one. So this way, if it comes out, you can just take it out if you want, just to be safe. So we don't have to worry about it. You can just keep this one under tension, and keep your finger on this side so that the trigger reset spring doesn't come out. And it just lifts right out, up and out of the frame. As we can see, this is the takedown lever spring. This is what keeps it under tension, what pushes it up. And I'm not going to go into any further disassembly here because we really don't need to at this point. But it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's not too bad as long as you watch out for these springs. It's actually kind of it's reasonably simple. And let me just put this one back in. Put the impact block reset back in. Install a spring. Just lower it down to the body. Lower the front back in. And then we can install a screw to keep the inner frame in. This is going to aid us in installing it's going to aid us in installing the takedown lever, because this will hold the frame in. It'll hold everything in place. Now again, to install the takedown lever, you want to just hold this copperish spring down with a bolt, with a screwdriver or something like that. Something that's going to obviously fit in there. All the way down, and then you can just push it in. Just make sure there's good tension on this. If there's not, you're going to want to pull up on this spring, kind of bend it back up. Reinstall our pins. Try to make sure you don't get any lint or anything with this. I usually tap them in with just a the piece of plastic. This one's usually the tight fitting one. There we have it. And then just reinstall the slide. Again, you want to cock the inner hammer back. It just goes on nice and easy. And that's a basic disassembly of the ATP. If you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them. And as always, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.